Hello viewers, welcome back. So this is part 3 of our series of session on TallyPrime Release 3 highlights. In this session, I am going to cover a very important fundamental understanding of the GST module in Tally, how the GST rates are set up, and while passing the transaction, how the GST rates are picked up is very important and very critical for you people to understand how the GST module works in Tally. Now, if you are clear about these concepts, then handling GST compliance in Tally will be very simple and very easy. So let us go to Tally and understand the fundamental GST module setup and the capturing of data. Before we move on to Tally, we will have to walk through an important design principle of GST module and how the module works. We are aware that there are three major components for you to work with TallyPrime. 1. Masters. 2. The transactions. And 3. The reports. You create masters, and with those masters capture the transaction, and finally we will view the respective reports. To work with GST module and TallyPrime, we will be dealing with these three major components. Let us see what we can do about these masters. Master is where you will configure GST informations. You can set up the GST rate, the type of GST transaction, type of tax, and provide HSN/SAC and description related to GST compliance. So once you have set up the GST information in the masters, based on the configuration you set up in the master, and while selecting that master in the transaction, it inherits the rule set at the master. Tally also has inbuilt fundamental compliance imbibed into the software. For example, let us say your company is registered in Karnataka and you are raising an invoice for a customer who is in Delhi. As per GST, the type of tax to be selected is IGST. If the user by mistake selects a tax ledger other than IGST, TallyPrime will not calculate tax. Remember, under GST module, once properly you set up the master, while passing the transaction, the GST has to be calculated as per the rate specified in the master. If wrong ledger is selected, for example, let us say you have manually calculated the amount and entered while saving that particular voucher, Tally will alert for any discrepancies. Let's say you ignore the message and proceed to save the voucher. Tally will accept the voucher, but the third important component is the return reconciliation. Tally will automatically post all the transaction into the respective GST return in their respective tables. While doing so, Tally will triangulate the data into the return. It will detect with wrong GST treatment, and the value of that transaction will not be captured in the main return unless it is corrected as per the statute. Apart from that, it will also check for any incomplete information, like if you have selected the type of dealer as regular dealer for a party, and if GST is not provided, system will provide an exceptional report where the system will assist in correcting those errors and incomplete information. This slide is very critical for all of you to understand, as this determines your proper setup of GST for the company. The hierarchy and inheritance concept. We can set up GST configuration at the company level, which is the top of the hierarchy. Once GST is configured at the company level, it automatically inherits to the other masters in the product, like inventory group, stock items, accounting groups, and accounting ledgers. In fact, GST configuration is so simple that once you configure it at the company level, you need not have to configure GST for each of your stock items irrespective of the number of items. Similarly for accounting ledgers as well. You can specify all GST related information at the company setup itself. Tally seamlessly allows the users to configure GST at any level in case of change in the GST rate or other information like HSN, etc. Let's take a case of a trading organization with inventory. If there is any rate change for some of your items or groups of your item, then ideally you will specify the rate of GST and the HSN for majority of your item at the company setup level and come to the inventory group, and let us say that you have a stock group where the item under the group is got a different GST rate. Example, majority of the item that you are dealing, let's say, is 18%. We can set up that configuration at the company level and come to the stock group where the GST rate is different. You can configure the GST rate and the relevant information like description, HSN, SAC code and rate of tax for that particular stock group. And again, that stock group will automatically inherit the rate that is specified at that group level for all the items under that group. And any item that is being created forming part of the group will automatically inherit the rate specified in the group, and any other item created under any other group will automatically inherit the rate that has been set up at the company level. You can also set up the GST for a stock item. Let me give an example. So let us say this particular stock group that we have 3 items here, and one of the item under this group where you have specified, for example, we had specified 18% at the company level setup, and now we are specifying at the stock group level the GST rate as 12%. Automatically the 12% will get inherited to all the stock item. Now let us say one item under this group has a GST rate of 28%. So we come to this particular stock item and again specify all the GST relevant information for the stock item, and when we are selecting this particular item of this group of 12%, since we have set up 28% for the stock item, Tally will compute GST at 28%. But any other item when we are selecting under this group, it will compute at 12%, and all other item which is not forming part of this modified group will automatically inherit 18%. If we take a case of a service industry, the same logic applies even here. Any rate change for any ledger group or accounting group apart from the rate that we have set up at the company level, you can come here and configure at the accounting group level, which will automatically inherit for all the ledgers under that particular group, or any particular ledger can also be configured for the rate which will take care while passing the transaction. Here again you can specify all the relevant GST information at the ledger level also. The configuration is done not just at the master level. During the transaction also, modifications can be done which will impact that rate only for that particular transaction. I hope you have a fair idea of setting up of GST configuration with the concept of hierarchy and inheritance. Once the masters are set up, while passing the transaction, for calculation of GST, TallyPrime will walk reverse path. That is, it will look for any rate that has been specified during the transactions for computing of GST. If no rates are specified during the transaction, TallyPrime will look for any rate specified in the ledger. And if there is no rate specified in the ledger, it will move on to the accounting group. If no rates are specified, it will look for rate at the stock item level. If no rates are specified, it will go back to stock group, and finally it will go to the company setup where the rate is set up and it will compute the tax accordingly. Just to clarify, in any of this level, if GST rate is set up, TallyPrime will consider that rate for calculation of GST. This is the fundamental working of GST module in TallyPrime. We have more flexibility and simplified way to manage this hierarchy and inheritance in release 3.0. Let us now switch to Tally and understand these configuration in detail. In my last video, if you recall, we had specified the GST rate at the company level and passed the transaction. Now we shall revisit to understand better. Let us go to GST configuration under F11 feature. F11, set alter GST rate. Yes, and this is where we had specified the GST rate at the company level, and this is the top of the hierarchy. We specified the HSN code, the description and the tax here. The related ledgers and the stock item subsequently we had created. We did not specify any rate for those ledgers and the stock item. Let us quickly view that. We created sales ledger, select sales ledger and enter. And if you notice here, the rate is auto populated here where it says the HSN is as per the company and group. Since we had specified at the top of the hierarchy, it is automatically pulled up the value from the company configuration. Similarly, the rate of GST is also pulled up from the company level. Let us view the stock item now. And we had created this one stock item. When I press enter, again you will notice here that it is automatically inherited the configuration that is set up at the company level. Now let us take an example of an item which has got a different GST rate, say 12%. So how do we handle that? Let us create an item at 12%. This will be under primary. The unit of measure is numbers, enter. GST is going to be applicable for this, and now here it is automatically inherited from the company level, but it is not 18% and the HSN code is also different in this case. So what I'm going to do is, you have this option here. The default one picks up from the company or the stock group. We will discuss about the stock group, how to specify also. Specify detail here. So this is what we are going to select, enter. And now for this item, what is the HSN code? So let's say this is a different HSN code, enter. You can enter the relevant description. Now the GST rate also we are going to specify here for the item. So we say specify detail here, and there is another option which is saying that specify slab based rate. So certain item we have slab based rate. We will discuss this in a separate video, how to configure slab rate. So we are going to say specify detail here. The item is taxable and the rate of GST is 12%. Enter, enter and accept. Now we will go for transaction. So we go to voucher entry, sales. This sales I want to do for Karnataka registration. Come here, click on company tax registration, and I'm going to select Karnataka registration, and let us pass this entry in the month of May. Party, customer Karnataka, my sales ledger, and the item is first is Acer laptop which is 18%. I'm going to say one number, enter. I'm going to select this second item which is the item at 12%. Again I'm going to say 10 numbers at the rate 6,000 rupees, and now I'm going to select my tax ledger, CGST, enter. The amount is calculated, enter. SGST, enter, and the tax amount is calculated. But in this case we have two separate items with two different rate. Even though we have created a common tax ledger, internally Tally will segregate the value of tax based on the tax rate. So how do we view that? On the right side button bar, you will see this button called related reports. Click on related reports and we can see the GST analysis. The keyboard shortcut is Alt A, enter. The report is in condensed mode. If you want to see in detail mode, you have to press Alt F5 to view detail. So I'm going to press Alt F5 and we will notice here that the first item which is 18%, it is calculated at 9 plus 9. The second item which is 12%, it is calculated at 6 plus 6. We can escape, save this. Let us view the tax invoice. So to view the tax invoice of the saved voucher, all you need to do is press page up. The previously saved voucher will get recalled. To view tax invoice, you are going to press Ctrl P so that you can print the current report. Come to preview, click on preview, and we will now see the detail of the invoice here. The first item HSN code, quantity rate, second item different HSN code, and the tax, which is a common ledger. But you will notice here in the breakup of the taxable value and the tax amount, we will see each HSN code wise what is the taxable value and what is the rate that is applied for CGST and SGST 9+9, and the second item HSN code 6000, CGST and SGST rate at 6% each. From the point of GST compliance, the user can create a common ledger for output and input as one single ledger, and internally Tally will automatically segregate the values of your input, output, and accordingly it will capture the information in the form. Let us now understand the hierarchy. If you recall, at the company level we had specified 18%. This item, though we did not specify the rate, it is automatically inherited the rate from the company. And the second item we had specified at the item level, which is a different tax rate. So while passing the transaction, like I mentioned earlier, Tally is going to look for the GST rate from the voucher upwards to the topmost hierarchy. In this case, at the stock item level, 12% GST rate was specified. So Tally has picked up that rate and then it is calculated the GST as per the rate specified in the item. Now let us see another example where you can specify the rate of GST for an item during the transactions, where it will help you to manage different rate of GST for one single common item. Let us pass another entry. So again we will select the same customer, sales ledger is fine. Now we are going to create a new item. So I'm going to press Alt C to create a new item. So let's call this as common item, where we can have multiple rate of GST specified and calculated during the voucher entry. Enter. Again it will be under primary. The unit of measure is going to be numbers, and here is where we are going to specify that you want to specify the HSN detail during the voucher entry. So what we are going to do, there is this option called show more. So when you click on show more, you have another option which says specify in the voucher. So you come down here, enter. It's not going to ask you for the information at the stock item level. Similarly, we are going to specify the rate of GST for this item during the voucher entry. So come here, again you say show more and say specify here. So we are not specified the rate for this item. So we are going to save this, Control A. Quantity 10 numbers. Since there is no opening balance, it is saying negative stock, doesn't matter, just press enter, and I'm going to enter the rate as 100, enter. And now since we had specified during creation of the item master that you want to specify the rate of GST while passing the transaction, and we said specify detail here now, so it automatically picks up, enter taxable, and the first one I am going to say is 18%, enter, and whatever is the GST rate, so I will just say 18,000. Same item, let us say you have another GST rate, so you are going to select the common item here again, and I am going to say 10 numbers, 200 rupees, and in this case I am going to say it is 12%, and we will say 12,000. Again you are going to select common item, 10 numbers, 500 rupees, 5,000. In this case we are going to say it is 5% and specify here as 0500000. This is only for us to understand that these are three different rates. Let us take an example for common item. Let us say the organization would want to maintain one generic stock item rather than creating multiple stock item for different rate, since they might not be dealing these item on a regular basis. So in that case, you can create one common stock item as common item, or whatever is the name that you would want to specify for your organization. And if you are selling that common item with different GST rate, this is how Tally will help you to manage your GST compliance as well as simplify your master handling. So now I'm going to select the common tax ledger CGST. Again it is calculated the amount automatically SGST. Again, it is calculated SGST automatically. And now we have to see the first item should be under 18% GST, 12% and 5%. So we come here to related report, or if you remember the keyboard shortcut, it is Alt plus A. Press Alt A, you will get the tax analysis of this transaction. Now by pressing Alt F5, we will get the detail where you have created only one item, which is common item. GST is calculated at the different rate as specified during the voucher. The first one is 18%, the second one is 12%, and the third one is 5%. For this item, as we have mentioned that every time when I am selecting this item, you are asking Tally to ask for the rate of GST during the voucher entry. Every time when you select the item, you have to specify the rate of GST. If you look into the hierarchy, while passing the transaction, I have mentioned that Tally is going to go reverse. That means it is going to see if there is any rate specified during the voucher entry. In this case, the rate is specified during the voucher entry. Since the rate is available at the voucher level, Tally is calculated GST as per the rate specified for the same item with different GST rate that we had captured. In case you have not specified any rate, it would have automatically picked up from your next hierarchy. That could be your ledger or stock item. It could be your accounting group or stock group. Finally, it will walk back to the company to find out where the rate is. In this whole hierarchy, wherever the rate is specified, Tally is going to pick up the rate and start calculating the GST. I hope you would have understand the criticality of this session, because if you don't understand how the hierarchy and inheritance occurs in Tally, it will be difficult for us. So we also understood how you can set up the hierarchy in which you want the tax to be computed backwards. Thank you all once again for staying till the end. See you all in the next session with more interesting features related to TallyPrime Release 3 GST module.